it's the Midnight Raven, and this is the It's Not All Doom and Gloom podcast, episode 17. We have done so well this year keeping up with this podcast. If you're new to the podcast, it's not all doom and gloom. I am the Midnight Raven. Today we are looking at some more journal prompts from my self-discovery journal prompt book that I use to help me through my everyday life and to answer some hard-hitting questions about the past, the present, and the future. And if you want to join in, please feel free to put your answers in the chat, or if you'd like to ask me any questions, then feel free to. Today we're doing another 5 questions. These could do with your past, present, or future. Some of the topics are a little more deep and dark than others, but please, if you're watching this, remember that these questions are all meant to be taken lightly. None of these questions are meant to be taken too seriously. And at the end of the day, we are all just trying to learn about one another and about the world. So we are going to get into question 36 in my little book. And today's first question is, what holds you back from achieving your goals? Now, these could be any type of goals, whether it's relationship goals, job goals. It doesn't necessarily have to target one area of your life. So what holds you back from achieving your goals? I guess self-belief for me is always a big issue. Like believing in myself. I don't necessarily need other people to believe in me because I don't necessarily value people's opinions or value how much somebody thinks I'm worth. But the thing that holds me back would be my own self-belief. When I was working, obviously I am currently off, if you know, I had lost my job due to my store closing, and I, up until then, have been on mental health sick. But before all of that, I worked in a shop and I was doing really well. I was managing the store a couple of days here and there, being a key holder, being in charge for a couple of days. I did 2 different stores at one point, which gave me a bit of variety. But even then, I still felt like I hadn't achieved anything. Like I was still striving for more, even though I was like, opening one store one day, open a different store another day. I was trying to be the best that I could be. And I was doing here, there, and everywhere, proving I was this, proving I was that, and I still hadn't approved or achieved what I wanted. And whether that is because I didn't believe in myself, because I think everybody else did. My boss, my staff, they all believed in me, and I was still pushing myself, believing I hadn't achieved enough, I hadn't done enough, I could do more. And obviously it caused me to have a mental health breakdown as well as other factors. I had a mental health breakdown, and then I ended up being off work, and then my store closed in May, and then I am now on long-term sick at the minute due to mental health and other issues. And the thing that was holding me back is, I think, the fact I didn't believe in myself, and then I pushed myself so much to show how good I was, to show how much I'd achieved, and I actually ended up pushing myself too much, which we all do sometimes. We all want to show how great we are and how wonderful we are and how amazing we are and how much we can do. But we each have our own limits. And as much as I wanted to show how good I was and achieve this and do that, I pushed myself too much. I did too much, maybe all at once, was trying to overwork, and I ended up coming off worse off. We live and learn is the term I use. We live and learn. So that was the first question for today. So we're starting off nice and light. Okay, question 2. What is something you want to work towards? Okay, so this is along the same lines of the fact achieving my goal. I pushed myself. What is something you want to work towards? Now, this again could be anything. You want to work towards that new job. You want to work towards a better mental health. You want to work towards losing weight. You want to work towards getting a partner. You want to work towards going to college. It could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be just what mine would be, which would be for me, would be working towards a better mental health for me. That would be the one I would concentrate on for me. Something I want to work towards is balancing my mental health. Now, I've talked about this in previous podcast episodes. I want to balance my health where instead of dreading waking up every morning because I don't know how I'm going to feel, low or high, I want to balance the scales where I don't necessarily have to be on cloud nine and I don't have to necessarily be down in the dumps. I just want to be okay. Now, I know that's a lot to ask because mental health isn't something you just, as I've used this term before, snap out of. And a lot of people think you can just snap out of mental health. They're like, oh, well, you could just be fine. You know, you don't have to be this, you don't have to be that. Mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD, they're not choices. They are things that have happened to you, whether it's through certain situations that have affected your mental health that are caused by exterior factors or factors close to you. And I want to try and balance my mental health so that when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to worry that it's going to be either or. I'm not asking to be perfect. I'm asking to be a little bit more less apprehensive on what my mental health is when I wake up. So when I go to bed, I feel one way, and when I wake up, I never know how I'm going to be. I could wake up and just be really pissed off at the world. I could wake up and have a really good day. And it's the apprehension at the minute of, because my mental health varies so much, is which person do I wake up as? Do I wake up as the happy jolly raven that wants to do some YouTube videos, go for a walk, get out there? Or am I the one that wants to stay in bed till midday? And then I struggle to do stuff. So what's holding, the same as what's holding me back from my goal, something I want to work towards, would be, you know, the two are kind of entwined. Achieving something would be good every day, like achieving to get out of bed, achieving to do my work, but also working towards being balanced in my mental health would then also help me achieve my goals. So it's kind of a catch 22 situation. I really want to progress, but then, as the previous question, I want to achieve the goal, but if I push myself too much too quickly to get things balanced, to get things done, to get things right, I could have another breakdown again. And that is what I want to avoid. I want to have a balanced mental health to then be able to go back to work, to then be able to be in a balanced position to do the both of them, to get up every morning and go to work. So it's hard. It's hard. These questions are never easy. We're going to be delving into things that maybe people aren't comfortable talking about. Me, over time, I've grown really comfortable on talking and speaking my mind and getting my thoughts out there because I've got nothing to hide. Mental health for me isn't a taboo. As much as people would like to think it's a taboo, I don't find it a taboo. I think talking about your mental health, your struggles, your issues, is good, whether it's to your counselor, your friend behind the scenes on YouTube, your family, a co-worker. Talk to somebody. If you're like me, where I had a mental health imbalance and I spoke to nobody and had a breakdown and things got worse, it's not good. Okay, question number 3. Hopefully this is a little bit of a less dark question, although as I said, a trigger warning, some of these questions could be darker than others, but this is all a good self-discovery journey that we're going on. and you can share your discovery and journey in the chat as well. Fill me with your answers as well. How do you prefer to de-stress? Okay, so this is a good one. This is a nice light-hearted one. So, with the struggle in my mental health, obviously, YouTube does help. Talking behind the scenes to my friend in Discords, talking to somebody every day. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be your mum, your dad, your sisters, your kids. Talk to someone every day. Me personally, obviously, I live with my son, so I see my son every day. I have a couple of people behind the scenes on YouTube that I talk to most days. So my preferred to de-stress would be to have a conversation every day about something else other than my mental health. Just any discussion, not asking me how I am or how I've been or how things are, just a random topic, maybe. I don't know. So de-stressing for me would be to talk about anything apart from my mental health. I love having bubble baths. I do find a bubble bath before bed just washes away the day's negativity. I find listening to music really helps. When I go into town, I'll have my earphones in. If I'm cooking, I'll have some music on, or I'll have a podcast in the background. I love listening to the Fox and the Father podcast. I do find that to be calming as well. It's a podcast I've started listening to for maybe the last 2 or 3 months, and I'm finding it really interesting. I like to de-stress watching a documentary. Sounds weird, but I do. Just switching off my mind from the day's struggles, my mental health, just like that. Just an entirely different subject. Um, Other ways I de-stress, I might go for a walk. I might have a phone call with somebody for a little bit and just take myself out of my day-to-day routine. Um, what else do I do to de-stress? Um, I do suffer from insomnia, so de-stressing before I go to bed can be a bit hard. I am starting to try a herbal sleep drug as of Monday. I am going to try a herbal sleep drug called Herbal Store Sleep Aid. My sister recommended it because she uses it. And it's just a sleep drug that I'm going to try and use for temporary release of sleep disturbances based on traditional use only. And I'll be using it a couple of times a week just to give me a little bit more help because the insomnia is really bad. So that might help me de-stress. Other ways of de-stressing, just try and block out the world. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world at the minute, and I can see everybody stressing and worrying. Obviously, COVID happened, cost of living crisis has happened. Everybody is like stressed to the eyeballs. Can they pay their bills? Can they do this? Can they do that? And sometimes you just have to have like blinkers on. Just put yourself in a little box, even if it's for an hour a day, and just block out the world, block out people, read a book, take a walk, go for a swim, go to the gym for an hour, and just put your headphones in and do a workout. I do a yoga workout most days on an app called Fit On. So I do yoga, high intense cardio, stretches and stuff, and I just zone out for anywhere between 10 and half an hour, and I find that really good. Heightens your endorphins, get your heart racing. But everybody is different. You will find your own way of de-stressing, whether it's having a phone call with a friend or watching a video on YouTube. So the next question today is, what makes you laugh really hard? What makes you laugh really hard? I guess videos on TikTok. I mean, I'm not a big lover of TikTok. I do have a TikTok channel. If you want to subscribe to that, I'll put it in the description. But things like YouTube videos, like little shorts, TikTok. There's an angry cow farmer on Facebook. the Unhinged Cow Farmer, I think it's called, and he is so good. I just cannot stop laughing at him. It's like the funniest video I've ever seen. He's an unhinged cow herder, and he has a similar kind of demeanor as the corporal out of Full Metal Jacket, where he's yelling at the cows, berating the cows, and he's so funny. There was a video I watched the other day that was just so hilarious. I'm gonna put it in my Discord. And it was just him yelling at these two cows that they wouldn't go through this gate. I just laughed. But I watched it 4 or 5 times. Things like that, just light-hearted stuff, like cow videos, chickens doing their little dances. Um, there's some farming videos that I watch with cows and donkeys. I watch like kitty hospitals and stuff like that, like adoption stuff with the cats and the dogs, the videos of them wanting to be adopted and stuff like that. I just find it really relaxing, not necessarily laughing, but it puts a smile on my face, and I think laughing and smiling gives you kind of the same endorphins, like release. What makes me laugh really hard? Watching comedy can do that thing. Russell Howard, Jimmy Carr. There are a few comedians that I like out there. Watching comedy shows, Bottom, Black Books, Young Ones, kind of old school comedy. But I don't laugh very often. I must admit, I'm not really one of these people that like sit there and like laugh at everything, because I don't really find things funny, not unless they're kind of like dark humor, and that's kind of frowned upon now. But the last question for today, question 40. How is your mental health at the moment? Wow, look at that. How is your mental health at the moment? What a question. Okay, wow. We finally made it to this question that I was dreading. Okay. How is your mental health at the moment? We're 40 questions in, and it's asking one of the harder questions. I think my mental health has improved since Christmas. I think Christmas I hit a really dark place. Not gonna lie. I did feel like I didn't want to be here, and that's a horrible thing. I don't wish it on anybody. I have come to terms with just how bad my mental health was, how I should have sought help maybe sooner and didn't. But I am thankful for the fact that I came to a point and realized I needed the help sooner rather than later. So if anybody doesn't know who's watching this, I had a slight breakdown at Christmas, and I ended up being off work, and I have not been employed for 8 months now, or 9, count, maybe 8, 9 months, due to mental health. The store I worked at closed in May, so there wasn't a choice of going back to the job, and I wanted to leave anyway, due to extenuating circumstances, and my mental health dipped quite bad. I then sought counselling, which I now have, and I've had counselling the last 8 months. I am still planning to have counselling through the new year. At the very least, I'm looking to have counselling maybe for another 6 months, just to make sure that I have got to where I want, and then I am comfortable enough, and then I might cut the counselling out. But at the minute, I still feel that I have days that are really bad, that I need that little bit of help. So how is my mental health at the moment? It's a work in progress. It's a day by day work in progress, because each day for me isn't consistent. and I need to have a bit more consistency, where I wake up in the morning and sometimes I don't want to get up, and other days, I'm sorry, you'll have to excuse me, I have insomnia. I'm full of beans, and I would love to have it a bit more consistent, where I would kind of know how I would feel when I wake up, and be a bit more consistent in my feelings and my mood. Because my mood is so low sometimes. I'm just so low, and other days I'm really good. And I would just love to have a bit more, as I keep talking about in all of these videos. I just want a balance, and that will come in time, and it will come when my mental health is ready, and when I am ready, and when things have come to a point where they have leveled out. And at that point, I will be content. I will still be worried that things will dip again. That fear of going back to how I was at Christmas doesn't go away. It's still in there. But I will take every day as it comes, and every day my mental health throws a new challenge at me, I will see it as neither good nor bad. I'm just going to see it as a point of, I don't know, maybe being stuck, but still being able to move. Because although my mental health puts a barrier in front of me, it doesn't necessarily stop my day-to-day life. I just have to be able to work around it. So it is kind of a barrier. It is kind of like a fence in the way, a brick wall, as I put it, as a term. And I just need to either break through the brick wall or go around it. It doesn't necessarily stop me from doing something or go over the brick wall. It's just a bit of a blocker in the way. And that blocker can be really bad and just in the way, and I can't see a way around it or over it or through it. And other days I'm smashing that wall down and just making it disappear. So every day's different, and that's the only problem with mental health. It is inconsistent, and currently I'm not quite where I want to be, but that doesn't mean that things, have come to a halt or anything. I'm still working on myself. It's just that mental health isn't fixed overnight. And as much as it is a taboo to talk about mental health, I choose to. So, they were the questions for today. Some of these questions were a little bit harder today, especially for me. But we'll just go through what they were, and then if you want to share your thoughts and opinions and well wishes, or you want to share your own stories, and please do so. Questions today were: what holds you back from achieving your goals? What is something you want to work towards? How do you prefer to de-stress? What makes you laugh really hard? And how is your mental health at the moment? And we have got down to doing 40 questions so far in this It's Not All Doom and Gloom podcast, episode 17. If you want to share your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the chat, or well wishes, or your own stories, please do so. Share this out so that we can get more people to this podcast, because I do feel that mental health is a taboo, and I wish more people would talk about it and see that there isn't anything to be worried about or scared about or being judged. There are many other things you could judge people for, and their mental health shouldn't be one of them. But if you want to like and subscribe, that would be amazing. This is the It's Not All Doom and Gloom podcast. I am the Midnight Raven, and I will see you next week for another episode. Take care and look after your mental health. Bye, guys.